My sister sent her friends to attack me and then blatantly lied to our father. When I finally gathered the courage to tell him everything, he just sighed deeply and said, "Son, your sister loves you. She would never do that." Yesterday, she accused a man of assault, and now he's in trouble with the law. In our house, there was only one sacred rule: never hit a woman. And look, it was never hard for me to follow that rule, until my 12th birthday. The problem is, my older sister used to hit me all the time. Once I had a horrible nightmare. Since my parents' bedroom door was locked, I fell asleep leaning against my sister's bedroom door. Just being close to her made me feel safer. But she woke up before I did and hit me so much that I went to school covered in bruises. The reason? I was blocking her way. When I turned 12, I started getting tired of silently taking the hits. It all started when I accidentally fell down the stairs. It was late at night and the noise woke her up. But instead of helping or ignoring it, she came down furious and kicked me in the leg. But this time, I was ready. I grabbed her leg and pinched her hard. But instead of feeling any relief, I felt awful. I cried, convinced I was a terrible brother, and let her hit me even harder afterward. And look, I loved my parents, but I know they saw my injuries. I know they heard me crying in pain late at night. Yet they did nothing. They were too passive. In their heads, everything was fine because it was just a girl hitting a boy, not the opposite. Besides, in public, she acted like the most caring sister in the world. When we crossed the street, she would stretch out her arm to protect me. She would run ahead to hold the door open for our parents and even for strangers. It made me sick. But if there was one good thing about all of it, it was that I turned my rage into motivation to work out. By 16, I was strong and played on the school's football team. She was a year older than me, so I always heard the gossip from her class. By that time, she had stopped hitting me, mostly because I'd grown too big to be her punching bag. And what I wanted most was to have a good relationship with her. So when I discovered she was dating this guy named Malik, all fake charm, I stayed alert. At first he seemed nice, like always. But less than 3 weeks into the relationship, he cheated on my sister with her best friend. I was literally in the same room when she found out. Malik sent a Snapchat video of him having sex with that so-called best friend. I ignored my sister's crying and tracked the snap location. She confirmed it was the girl's address and asked to stay inside the car to watch from afar. I laughed a little because Malik was so skinny. I already knew he'd come out dizzy, and I was right. When we arrived, my sister knocked on the door because he definitely wouldn't open it if he saw me. As soon as the girl opened the door, I pushed her aside and found Malik leaning against the hallway wall. I didn't want to end up in jail, so I only hit him until he finally said, "Vanessa is my queen," which is my sister's name. Then we left. On the way back, I almost crashed the car from laughing because Vanessa kept replaying the video. At that moment, I thought we had finally fixed our relationship, but I was wrong. The only relationship she fixed was with Malik. A week later, they were back together. When I asked her what she was thinking, she said, "Everyone deserves a second chance," and that she wanted to make the ex-best friend jealous. I told her that if he hurt her again, I wouldn't step in. She stayed grumpy the whole day. Whatever. 2 days later, when our parents weren't home, someone knocked on the door. It was Vanessa. As soon as I opened it, 2 guys I had never seen before started beating me. I started bleeding from my head, and they only stopped when they heard a car pulling into the garage. It was my father. "Oh my God, what happened?" Vanessa screamed when he entered, pretending she wasn't even home, as if she hadn't planned the whole thing. My father's face turned pale. I ended up in the hospital with a concussion, a fractured rib, and a dislocated shoulder. The moment she left to go to the bathroom, I told my father everything as fast as I could. "Son, your sister would never do that. She loves you. Dad, please. She has been hitting me since I was little. These injuries are all her fault." Tears were running down my face. I didn't even want her to be punished. I just wanted him to believe me. Instead, he put his hand on my shoulder and told me to rest. A few hours later, I woke up, and my uncle was sitting beside me. After the classic, "How are you feeling?" he leaned in and whispered, "Your father believes you. We all believe you." I was shocked. Apparently, everything had opened the door to talk about the past abuse, and my father was finally ready to break that sacred rule of never hitting a woman. The social worker, Mrs. Patel, who was already at the house, brought me to the living room. Her face was unreadable as she opened a thick folder full of documents. I wondered how much she already knew about our story. I looked toward the stairs, but Vanessa was gone. The living room felt smaller than usual, and the family photos on the walls now looked like portraits of strangers. "I know this must be difficult," Mrs. Patel began with a firm but gentle voice, "but I need to ask you some questions about your home life." My heart was pounding against my fractured rib, each beat sending a sharp pain through my chest. The couch cushion felt too soft, sinking uncomfortably as I tried to sit upright. "What exactly did my sister tell you?" I asked, unable to hide the irritation in my voice. I nervously tugged at a loose thread on my jeans while waiting for her answer. Mrs. Patel raised an eyebrow, studying my expression carefully. "I'd like to hear your version first, without others influencing you." She clicked her pen, ready to write on the official clipboard she held. I took a deep breath, feeling the pain in my side. Where was I supposed to begin? The air conditioner hummed quietly in the background, trying to compete with the chaos in my head. "Let's start with these injuries," she said, pointing at my arm in the sling and the bruises under my shirt sleeve. The purple mark stood out like a colorful map of my sister's anger. For the next hour, I told the social worker everything. The years of abuse, the hospital visit, the videos my parents found on Vanessa's phone, videos of her laughing while planning to frame me. I showed the bruises still healing, the medical reports. My voice slowly got hoarse from talking. Mrs. Patel wrote down everything. Occasionally she asked a clarifying question, but mostly I just listened to the soft sound of her pen on the paper. Oddly enough, that sound was comforting. It meant someone was finally paying attention. "Your sister said your mother hit her," Mrs. Patel said, looking up. "Is that true?" Her tone was neutral, but it was clear she was analyzing my reaction. I nodded slowly, remembering the moment vividly. The smell of food cooking on the stove. After years of enduring Vanessa's attacks and watching her turn on our mother, my mom finally lost her patience and slapped her, just once. But Vanessa shoved her against the counter. The memory was still sharp. The sound of my mom's back hitting the furniture, the immediate shock on both their faces. Mrs. Patel wrote something, expression unchanged. "And you're living with your uncle now?" she asked. "I came back yesterday," I said. It felt strange to say it out loud. My room didn't feel like mine yet. Everything too neat, too organized. "Do you feel safe here now?" The question hung between us. Did I feel safe? Same house, same furniture, same photos, same creaky third step, but everything was different now. Before I could answer, someone knocked on the front door. My dad answered. "Travis," he said with relief. "Come in." I heard the door close and heavy footsteps. Uncle Travis walked into the room and nodded at Mrs. Patel. "I came as soon as I saw your message, Brandon." He turned to the social worker. "I'm the boy's uncle. He stayed with me while recovering." She looked satisfied with his arrival. "Maybe you can give more context, Mr. Horvath," he finished, "and I have plenty to say." He sat beside me, solid and reassuring. The couch dipped with his weight, and the familiar scent of his aftershave, pine and spice, calmed me. He confirmed everything I had said and added details about how my parents had become increasingly aware of Vanessa's behavior, which only kept getting worse. Even while describing the worst incidents, his voice stayed steady. "I have messages from my brother and sister-in-law about Vanessa's episodes," he said, pulling out his phone, "and about the damage she caused in the house." The screen glowed as he scrolled through pictures, each one worse than the last. Mrs. Patel reviewed them. Slowly, her professional posture began to crack as she saw photos of broken dishes, holes in walls, and my mother's injured arms. "This is..." she murmured, stunned. Then, upstairs, a door slammed loud enough to echo through the house. I flinched on instinct. Vanessa came down the stairs, face red with anger, hair messy, eyes burning with hatred. "Everyone is lying!" she screamed. "They abuse me! That's why I have to defend myself!" Her fists tightened at her sides. Mrs. Patel stood up. Her posture shifted. "Miss Horvath, I will speak with you separately." Her tone was stern, unwavering. Vanessa glared at me, pure venom in her eyes. It made my stomach twist. "He's always been the favorite," always walking over me while I got punished. Her voice cracked with emotion. My father stepped forward, calm but firm. Vanessa, enough. He lifted his hand in a calming gesture, which only fueled her rage. Shut up, she screamed, ripping a framed photo off the wall and throwing it at him. It spun like a deadly frisbee. Dad ducked just in time. The frame shattered against the wall, glass scattering everywhere. Mrs. Patel's eyes widened. She moved quickly, placing herself between Vanessa and the rest of us. Miss Horvath, I need you to calm down. Right now. Vanessa froze, then suddenly switched her expression. Tears welled up. She hugged herself, shrinking. See what they do to me. I'm always scared. Her trembling voice, the quiver of her lip. The performance was almost convincing. Almost. Maybe we should continue this another time, Mrs. Patel said cautiously. I need to interview each family member individually. She gathered her papers quickly, but Uncle Travis wasn't done. There's one more thing you need to see, he said, playing a video. Muffled shouting filled the room. On screen, Vanessa screaming at our mom, shoving her against the counter. My mom trying to defend herself, cornered. Vanessa moved forward again, and Mom slapped her reflexively. The slap wasn't even hard, but the sound echoed. Vanessa's face turned white watching it. Where did you get that? She whispered. No more acting, just shock. Security camera, Dad said quietly. I installed it after your brother ended up in the hospital, to protect everyone. No pride in his voice, only heartbreak, like confirming this truth about his daughter hurt more than anything. Mrs. Patel's expression hardened. I think I've seen enough for today, she said, shutting her folder. Before leaving, she pulled me aside. We will conduct a full investigation. In the meantime, do you have a safe place to stay? Her eyes were kind but serious. I looked at Uncle Travis. He nodded. Yes, I said. Relief washed over her face. That night, I packed again. Folding clothes, gathering toiletries. It was becoming routine. Vanessa stayed locked in her room, skipped dinner. The house was eerily quiet. Outside, Uncle Travis loaded my bags into his truck. My mom hugged me tight. I'm sorry, she whispered, voice breaking. For everything. Her embrace was comforting, but strange. When was the last time she hugged me like that? It's not your fault, I said, even though part of me still wondered why it took a hospital stay and child services for them to finally believe me. My dad gripped my shoulder, eyes red. We're going to fix this. All of it. As we drove away, I watched the house shrink in the rearview mirror. Porch light glowing gently, making the place look peaceful and fake. What now? I asked. The engine hummed, filling the silence. Uncle Travis sighed, gripping the wheel tighter. Social services will finish the investigation. Your parents are requesting family therapy, and they're looking into residential treatment for Vanessa. The dashboard lights cast a blue glow on his worried face. Residential treatment, like institutionalization. The idea felt both relieving and sad. It might be what she needs. Real help in a safe place. His voice was firm, maybe trying to convince himself too. I looked out the window. Deep down, I didn't hate Vanessa. I just wanted the abuse to end. Streetlights flashed by, shadows sliding across my face. The following days were a blur of social worker interviews and medical appointments. I went back to school, trying to focus on classes and football despite the chaos. The familiar hallways were a distraction, but I still felt the whispers and stares. Coach Madsen was understanding, easing me back into training. The smell of fresh-cut grass and the sound of cleats on turf were almost therapeutic. Family problems, huh? He asked one day after seeing me distracted, his weathered face partly shaded by his cap. It's complicated, I said, adjusting my helmet and avoiding. He nodded, his expression softening. Family always is. But remember you have another one here too, he said, pointing to the players training on the field. They were sweaty, clothes stained with grass, laughing and yelling as they played. That support meant everything to me. When rumors started circulating about my absence, my teammates took my side. They didn't know the details, but they made it clear that anyone who bothered me would have to deal with them. That loyalty was my shield against curious stares and whispered questions. A week after Mrs. Patel's visit, Uncle Travis got a call from my father. Vanessa had run away from home. The news came during dinner, and I was so shocked I dropped my fork onto the plate. "What do you mean she left?" I asked, stunned. "Where would she go?" My mind began to race. Friends' houses, boyfriends, distant relatives. "Your father thinks she might be with Malik," my uncle said, frowning. The concern was obvious on his face. I let out an ironic laugh. After what he did to her? Cheating with her best friend? No way. The idea seemed absurd, but with Vanessa, you could never predict anything. And the worst part, my father was right. 2 days later, the police found Vanessa at Malik's apartment. According to my parents, she refused to go back home, screaming that we were all against her. Since she was 17, she was considered legally able to decide where she wanted to live, at least in our state. That gap in the law felt like a slap in the face. After everything that happened, she made her choice, my father said on the phone, his voice exhausted. We told her she can come back if she agrees to therapy and to follow the house rules. I pictured him sitting at the kitchen table, shoulders slumped, rubbing his forehead like he always did when stressed. And what if she doesn't agree? I asked. His sigh said everything. The static on the line filled the silence. Neither of us knew what else to say. Life settled into a rhythm. I split my time between Uncle Travis's apartment and my parents' house. Slowly, I started spending more nights at home, once it became clear Vanessa wouldn't return. Adjusting was strange at first. My room still felt unfamiliar, and meals with just the three of us were much quieter than before. My wounds were healing. Football season ended. The year was coming to a close. Days were shorter and colder, and Christmas decorations began popping up in windows and lawns. Then, 3 weeks before Christmas, Vanessa showed up at school. I was at my locker between classes when I felt someone staring. The hair on my neck stood up, and the once noisy hallway suddenly seemed too quiet. I turned, and there she was. She looked thinner than I remembered, with dark circles under her eyes, clothes too big for her body, and her hair, once flawless, tied in a messy ponytail. "Hi," she said, almost a whisper, barely rising above the noise around us. Students walked by without noticing the tension in the air. I tensed up immediately, scanning the hallway. It was a trap. My eyes searched the crowded hall for any unfamiliar faces or someone watching too closely. "What do you want?" My voice came out harsher than I intended. "Can we talk? Just a minute?" She hugged her books tightly to her chest like they were a shield. Against my better judgment, I agreed, and followed her to an empty classroom. The room smelled like chalk and sweaty teenagers. The desks sat in rows facing the whiteboard. I left the door open and stood near the exit. Vanessa noticed. The fluorescent lights buzzed above us, casting harsh shadows across her face. "Do you think I'm going to attack you or something?" She tried to joke. The forced smile never reached her eyes. "Wouldn't be the first time," I replied, crossing my arms and leaning against the door. She shrank back a little. "I guess I deserve that." A strange silence stretched between us until she spoke again. "Malik kicked me out," she said. "He's officially back with Jasmine." Just admitting it looked like it hurt her pride. It was written all over her face. I don't know what to say. Saying "I told you so" felt cruel, even after everything. The ticking clock on the wall suddenly seemed louder than anything else. "I'm staying with some friends, but..." She stopped mid-sentence, staring down at her old worn shoes. "I want to come home." The fragility in her voice caught me off guard. "That's between you and Mom and Dad," I said, shifting uncomfortably. This sudden vulnerability made me nervous. "They said I have to go to therapy, and that they'll send me somewhere after New Year's." Her voice hardened. "That's ridiculous." "It's not a prison, Vanessa. It's treatment," I replied, tugging a loose thread from my sleeve without looking up. "I don't care," she snapped, crossing her arms. "They also said I have to apologize to you." She glanced away. "Sorry." "I don't know." Her words hit like a slap. "I don't know? After years of beating me? After sending those guys to put me in the hospital? That was all she had?" Heat rushed to my face. All the rage I had swallowed over the years finally rose to the surface. Vanessa's eyes glistened. "You want me to crawl?" Fine. I'm sorry for hurting you. I'm sorry for being so jealous because everyone always liked you more. I'm sorry for being so broken inside that the only way I knew how to deal with things was by hurting someone. I went speechless. For the first time, I saw something real behind her anger. Pain, confusion, insecurity. Her chest rose and fell quickly with the emotion. And for a moment, she looked smaller, younger, fragile. I never wanted them to love you more, I said quietly, sadness replacing the anger. But they did. They still do, she answered, wiping her eyes angrily. And now they're kicking me out because they don't want to deal with me anymore. A tear escaped down her cheek. That's not true. They just want to help you. I took a step forward, then froze. I wasn't sure I should. She let out a bitter laugh. Help me by throwing me out? Sure. The bell rang, signaling the start of the next class. Students rushed by the door, filling the hallway with noise and footsteps. Think about what I said, Vanessa murmured as she passed by me toward the door. Tell Mom and Dad I'll accept therapy if it means I can come home for Christmas. Her shoulder brushed mine, and I caught the familiar scent of her perfume, vanilla with a floral hint. That night, I told my parents what happened. They exchanged worried looks from across the dinner table. Steam rose from the plates, fogging the glasses. We've been trying to talk to her for days, my mom said, twisting her ring nervously around her finger. The kitchen light glinted off the metal. Do you think she's serious about therapy? I asked, pushing vegetables around my plate, appetite gone. My dad ran a hand through his hair. I don't know. We've heard promises before. The tired lines on his face seemed deeper than ever. The residential program has a good reputation, Mom added quickly. 3 months minimum. They specialize in anger management and trauma. She sounded like she was trying to convince herself. She thinks you're sending her away because you don't love her anymore, I said before I could stop myself. Silence grew heavy between us. My mom's eyes filled with tears. That's not true. We love her. We just don't know how to help her. A tear rolled down her cheek and she wiped it away quickly. The next day, I got a text from Vanessa. Can you pick me up after school? I need to get some stuff from home. My phone buzzed in my pocket during history class. I read the message under the desk, heart pounding. I told Uncle Travis as soon as I got home. He was cooking, the smell of onions and garlic filling the kitchen. I don't like this. Could be another setup, he said, frowning. I don't think so, I replied, unsure. She was different yesterday. Different how? He asked, pausing halfway through chopping vegetables. I don't know. Defeated, maybe. I shrugged. He thought for a moment. I'm going with you. Just in case. He set down the knife and wiped his hands. He was determined. We waited in the school parking lot that afternoon. The car heater made the inside too warm, windows fogging up from the December cold. Vanessa walked out alone and looked surprised to see Uncle Travis in the passenger seat. The icy air puffed out in small clouds from her mouth. What's he doing here? She asked as she got into the back seat, dropping her bag with a thud. Emotional support, I said, as I pulled out of the lot. The tires slipped slightly on the salted road. The drive home was silent. As soon as we arrived, Vanessa went straight to her room. We stayed in the kitchen. We could hear drawers opening and closing upstairs. The house felt tense, like it was holding its breath. 20 minutes later, she came down with a duffel bag stuffed to bursting. I'm just grabbing some clothes and a few things. I'm staying at Skylar's tonight. Do your parents know you came? Travis asked calmly, arms crossed. She rolled her eyes. I texted Mom, she's at work. She shifted the bag on her shoulder, and something fell out. A small orange pill bottle. It hit the tile and rolled to my feet. I picked it up and checked the label. It wasn't her name. They were my dad's prescription, his post-surgery pain meds. My stomach twisted. Vanessa lunged. Give it back. It's not what you think. Her face flushed red, panic replacing her usual arrogance. Travis stepped between us. Then what is it, Vanessa? He asked, calm but firm. Her face crumpled. I just needed something to sleep. I have nightmares. Saying it out loud looked painful. Those aren't sleeping pills, I said. And they're not yours. I slipped the bottle into my pocket. You know what? She shouted, tears streaking down her face. "Keep them! You already took everything else from me." She stormed out, slamming the door so hard the house shook. Through the window, we watched her walking down the street, shoulders hunched, wiping her face angrily. The winter sun cast long shadows over the snow-covered lawn. I couldn't sleep that night. Vanessa's words echoed in my head. Already took everything else. Did I? All I ever did was defend myself. Tell the truth. Did that make me the villain in her story? I lay staring at the ceiling, headlights from passing cars slicing through the darkness every few minutes. The next day, Mom called. Vanessa had come home late last night and asked to talk. They stayed up for hours, and for the first time, she opened up about everything. The jealousy, the anger, the fear of being abandoned. The kitchen table turned into a confessional, tissues piling up as walls finally began to crumble. She agreed to start therapy right away, Mom said, hope trembling in her voice. Not just the residential program, sessions with Dr. Bailey starting tomorrow. Her optimism was cautious, the kind you only have after too many disappointments. "That's good," I replied carefully. "Do you believe her?" "I want to," Mom said. The pill bottle still sat on the nightstand, a reminder of how far things had gone. The following week, Vanessa attended 3 sessions with Dr. Bailey. My parents said she was taking it seriously, even doing the homework he assigned. She stayed home every night, helped around the house, and didn't have a single outburst. The house was peaceful, in a way it hadn't been in years. "She seems like a different person," Dad said as he drove me to dinner. It would be our first family meal together since everything. I was nervous when we stopped in front of the house. "Are you sure this is a good idea?" I asked. "It's important for rebuilding the relationship," Dad said. "But if you're uncomfortable, we can go back." "No, it's fine. I want things to get better," I said, despite the knot in my stomach. Mom was setting the table while Vanessa stirred pots on the stove. The domestic scene felt surreal, considering our history. She looked over and gave a timid smile. Her hair was neat, and she wore a simple sweater, nothing like her usual all-black style. "Hi," she said quietly. "Hi," I replied, just as cautiously. Dinner was strange but civil. We talked about school, the holidays, Travis's new girlfriend. No one mentioned therapy or social services or the past. Only the clatter of cutlery filled the gaps. After dinner, as Dad and I cleared the table, Vanessa approached. "Can we talk alone?" she asked softly. Dad nodded, encouraging me. I followed her to the living room. I was still guarded, but curious. She sat on the couch, tugging the sleeve of her sweater. "Doctor, Bailey said I need to make real amends. Not just say sorry, but take responsibility for what I did and how it affected you." She couldn't look at me. I sat across from her, the coffee table between us like both a shield and a lifeline. "I was horrible to you," she said, voice shaking. "For years I hit you, humiliated you, sent those guys to hurt you and lied about everything." She looked up, right into my eyes. "I'm not here asking for forgiveness. I just want you to know I finally understand how wrong it was, and that I'm trying to change." Her hands trembled. Her sincerity caught me off guard. "Why?" I asked. "Why did you do all that?" It was the question that haunted me for years. She took a deep breath. "Part of it was jealousy. You were always good at everything. School, sports, making friends. People liked you instantly." She clutched her sleeve tighter. I felt like I had to work twice as hard just to get half the recognition. Just saying it already seemed to hurt. Every word came out as if she were tearing it from her chest. "That's not true," I began to say. "But it felt true to me," she interrupted. "And instead of dealing with it, I took it out on you. Because you were there. And why? Because I could." Her voice broke on the last words, raw and full of emotion. We talked for almost an hour, truly talked, maybe for the first time. We talked about childhood, our parents, our insecurities. Was it magical? No. Years of resentment don't vanish in a single conversation. But it felt like a real step, an honest one. The wall between us didn't fully collapse, but a crack opened in it. As Christmas approached, Vanessa stayed committed to therapy. I gradually returned home, though still keeping a certain distance. Residential treatment was scheduled for January 2nd, and she seemed resigned to it, even admitting that maybe it would be good for her. The house was beginning to feel like a home again, with familiar decorations and the scent of my mother's holiday cookies filling the rooms. But then, 2 days before Christmas, everything fell apart again. I came home after some last-minute shopping and saw police cars parked out front. Red and blue lights flashed against the darkening sky, casting a ghostly glow on the snow. My heart pounded as I ran inside. I found my mother crying on the couch while an officer took notes. The shopping bags in my hands suddenly felt ridiculous and unbearably heavy. "What happened?" I yelled. "Where's Dad?" My voice came out sharp with desperation. My mother lifted her tear-stained face. "Your father is in the hospital. Vanessa took his car. She'd been drinking. She crashed." Each sentence came out between sobs, her hands trembling as she clutched a tissue. The floor seemed to sway beneath my feet. "Is she okay? What about Dad?" The air felt tight, suffocating. The Christmas tree lights blurred as my eyes struggled to focus. "Your father's fine, just some cuts." He pulled her out of the car, the officer explained. "Your sister is in surgery." She wasn't wearing a seatbelt. His voice was professional but gentle, clearly used to delivering bad news. The hours that followed were a blur. Uncle Travis drove us to the hospital, where we found my father in the waiting room. His hands and face were bandaged. The smell of antiseptic mixed with the metallic scent of the blood still soaked into his clothes. "I was following her," he said hollowly. "I saw her take my keys. She was nervous about something but wouldn't say what. I took your mother's car to go after her, but I couldn't reach her in time." He stared at his wrapped hands, white bandages stained with red. We waited for hours, jumping up every time a doctor appeared. The ticking clock dragged each minute out like a small eternity. Finally, a surgeon approached, still in scrubs. The blue fabric was speckled with blood, his mask hanging around his neck. "She's stable," he told us. "Multiple fractures, internal bleeding, a concussion. But she's young and strong. With time and physical therapy, she should recover." Relief crashed over us. Despite everything, the idea of losing Vanessa was unbearable. They let us see her for a few minutes in recovery. She looked so small there, fragile among the tubes and machines, nothing like the storm that tormented me for so many years. Her face was swollen and bruised, one arm in a cast, her breathing assisted by a machine. I stood at the foot of the bed, watching her chest rise and fall, feeling a confusing mixture of anger and compassion. When we stepped out of the ICU, a police officer approached. "Mr. and Mrs. Horvath, we found these with your daughter." He handed my father a plastic evidence bag containing pill bottles, including the one I had taken from Vanessa days earlier. The orange bottles looked even more glaring under the cold hospital lights. "She had alcohol and controlled medication in her system," the officer continued. "When she recovers, she'll likely face charges for driving under the influence, possession of controlled medication without prescription, and driving without a license." His tone was straightforward, but his eyes showed sympathy. My mother choked out, "Charges? She needs help, not punishment." Her voice rose, drawing glances from the nurses. "That will be up to the court, ma'am," the officer replied before walking away. My father turned to me. "Did you know about the pills?" His eyes were exhausted, the skin around them dark with fatigue. I nodded, guilt written all over my face. "I caught her trying to take them last week. Uncle Travis said he told you." The guilt gnawed at me, even though I knew this wasn't my fault. "He did. We thought we had gathered them all," my father murmured, closing his eyes briefly. "The doctor said she's been using them for months. That explains a lot." Everything suddenly made more sense. The mood swings, the outbursts, the brief periods of improvement followed by relapse. How much of it was her and how much was the drugs? Christmas passed in the hospital waiting room. The staff had set up a tiny tree at the nurses' station, bright and cheerful against the heavy atmosphere. Vanessa remained sedated for days, her body too damaged to handle consciousness. When she finally woke up on December 27th, she was confused, in pain, facing a more complicated future than ever. The next day, I visited her alone. She lay in bed, her right leg in a cast, bandages covering most of what I could see. The hospital room was quiet except for the steady beeps of monitors and the occasional squeak of nurses' shoes in the hallway. She looked away when I entered. "Hey," I said, placing a small gift bag on the table beside her. "Late Christmas present." The wrapping paper crinkled softly as I set it down. She glanced at it suspiciously. "Why would you bring me something?" Her voice was hoarse from the breathing tube removed the day before. "Because you're my sister," I said, taking the vinyl chair beside her. "And I thought you might need something to pass the time in here." Curiosity won. She reached for the bag, wincing in pain as she moved. She opened it slowly and pulled out a sketchbook and a set of pencils. The sound of fresh pages flipping was comforting. "You used to draw all the time when we were little," I reminded her. "Remember those comics about the superhero family? A memory from before everything spiraled, when we were just siblings who sometimes argued but mostly had fun." A faint smile crossed her face. The Incredibles totally ripped me off. For a moment, she looked like the sister I remembered from childhood. We sat in silence, but a good silence. Then Vanessa spoke. "I ruined everything, didn't I?" She traced her finger along the sketchbook's spiral binding. "Yes," I nodded. "But you're still here. That's something." Sunlight slanted through the blinds, drawing stripes across the bed. "They're going to send me to rehab after this, then probably the residential center, unless I end up in juvenile detention first." Her voice was emotionless, as if she had already accepted her fate. "One day at a time," I said. It was something Uncle Travis always said, and it felt right in that moment. She looked up, eyes shimmering with tears. "Why are you being kind to me? After everything I did?" A tear slid down her bruised cheek. I thought carefully before answering. "Holding on to resentment would only make me become who you were, and I don't want to be that person." It came from deep inside. True, solid, real. Vanessa nodded slowly, understanding dawning in her eyes. "I don't want to be that person anymore either," she whispered, firm despite the softness of her voice. As I left the hospital that day, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. Not a naive optimism that everything would magically fix itself, but a real hope that healing was possible, for Vanessa, for my parents, for me. The winter air was cold and sharp, filling my lungs with every breath. The road ahead would still be long and difficult. There would be relapses, bad days, old habits trying to return, but I believed we could overcome it. Not to go back to who we were before, but to build something new, something better. Uncle Travis was waiting for me in the parking lot. "How did it go?" he asked, leaning against the truck. His breath came out in clouds in the cold air. I took a deep breath, the icy air filling my chest. "I think it went well. I think we're going to be okay." The words felt true as they came out. He nodded, a smile in his eyes. "One day at a time, kid." He gave me a firm pat on the shoulder, his hand warm and steady. The following weeks passed between hospital visits and meetings with lawyers. Vanessa's physical recovery was slow but steady. The emotional part was much more complicated. I divided my time between school, soccer practice, and visiting Vanessa. Sometimes we talked, other times I just sat with her while she drew in the sketchbook I had given her. At first, her drawings were dark and chaotic, full of jagged lines and shadowy figures. But as the weeks went by, they became more organized, even peaceful. "Dr. Bailey says art therapy helps process trauma," she mentioned one afternoon while shading a surprisingly detailed portrait of our family. She drew us on the front porch. Mom, Dad, her, and me. Not how we are now, but how we might be someday. The sound of her pencil sliding across the page was soft and steady. January turned into February. Vanessa was discharged from the hospital, but went directly to a rehabilitation clinic. The judge had been surprisingly understanding given the circumstances, mandatory rehab and therapy instead of juvenile detention, with the agreement that she would complete the residential program afterward. "You got lucky," I said during my first visit to the clinic. The place was more welcoming than I expected, more like a college dorm than a hospital. "I know," she whispered. Dad's lawyer had been incredible. She already looked healthier, and that lost look in her eyes had started to disappear. Meanwhile, at home, things were changing too. Mom and Dad started couples therapy, admitting that years spent ignoring Vanessa's behavior had damaged their marriage. They had gotten used to walking on eggshells, pretending everything was fine when it was nowhere close. "We should have protected you," Mom told me one night, eyes full of tears. I'll never forgive myself for that. We were sitting at the kitchen table with mugs of hot chocolate in front of us. "I'm okay now," I told her. Even though we both knew that wasn't completely true, some wounds take longer to heal. The physical and emotional scars would remain forever. By March, I was spending most nights at home again. My room started to feel like mine again. A safe place, not just somewhere to sleep. I took down some old posters, put up new ones. Small changes, but important ones. The spring breeze smelled like new beginnings coming through the open window. Vanessa finished rehab in early April, just as the world seemed to start breathing again with the changing season. The plan was for her to come home for 2 weeks before starting the residential program, a trial period to see how we would all adapt to being under the same roof again. The day she came back, my nerves were on edge. I checked my phone all through class, expecting a disastrous message from Mom, but the only text I received was, "Vanessa is home, resting. See you after practice." That simple message was both comforting and unsettling. When I walked into the house that afternoon, the atmosphere was quiet. Too quiet. The familiar sounds and smells were there. Mom's favorite candle burning in the living room, the hum of the refrigerator. But something felt different. "Mom!" I called, dropping my backpack by the stairs. "Dad!" My voice echoed slightly in the hallway. "In the kitchen," Mom called back. Her voice sounded normal, and somehow that was more surprising than if she had sounded nervous. I found the three of them sitting at the table playing Uno. Unbelievable, but true. Colorful cards were spread out and Dad was laughing at something Mom had just said. They looked at me as I stepped into the room, and for a moment no one spoke. The moment hung in the air, fragile as glass. Vanessa looked different, healthier. Her hair was tied back in a neat ponytail. She wore a simple t-shirt and jeans instead of the dark clothes she always used to wear. The physical changes were clear. She had gained some weight. The dark circles under her eyes were gone. But there was something else. A new calm. The constant tension in her shoulders had disappeared and her eyes looked clearer. On the fourth night, I woke up to the sound of crying, soft, muffled sobs coming from Vanessa's room. The digital clock read 2:17 a.m., the red numbers glowing dimly across the room. I lay still for a moment, listening, unsure of what to do. The old me would have stayed in bed, afraid to trigger something by trying to comfort her. But things were different now. I got up and walked down the hallway, stopping in front of her door. The wooden floor was cold under my bare feet. The crying continued. I knocked softly. "Vanessa, are you okay?" My voice felt too loud in the silent house. The crying stopped instantly. After a moment, she answered, "I'm fine." Her voice was shaky, clearly a lie. I could have left it at that. Part of me wanted to. But instead I said, "Can I come in?" My hand rested on the doorknob, waiting. Then, "If you want." Her words came out low and unsure. I opened the door slowly. She was sitting cross-legged on the bed, wiping her eyes in a hurry. Her sketchbook was open beside her, flipped to a drawing of a boy and a girl holding hands. The nightlight in the corner cast a soft glow, making the shadows dance on the walls. "Nightmare?" I asked, staying by the doorway. The carpet muffled my steps as I moved closer. She nodded, still looking down, about the accident. "I keep seeing Dad's face when he pulled me out of the car. He looked so scared." Her fingers gripped the blanket, knuckles turning white from the tension. She spoke in a rush, the words spilling out like they'd been trapped for weeks. "I didn't mean to crash into that tree. I was just so full of anger, and the pills made everything blurry and I couldn't see straight." "I know," I gently interrupted. "No one thinks you did it on purpose." I reached out hesitantly and rested my hand on her shoulder. She didn't pull away, just kept fidgeting with a loose thread on the blanket. "Dr. Bailey says I need to make peace with my mistakes. That I can't change the past, but I can choose what I do from now on." The thread came loose between her fingers, and she twisted it absently around her fingertip. "That sounds like good advice," I said. The night was quiet around us, the house making its usual soft creaks in the darkness. "Yeah." She looked at me, eyes red but clearer. I'm trying. It's just, sometimes it's hard. A car drove past outside, headlights flashing briefly through the curtains. I nodded, understanding completely. I know, but you're not alone anymore. And for the first time in years, I truly believed we were going to be okay. Not perfect, not like before, but okay. The road would still be long, but at least now we were all walking it together. If this story touched you in any way, please leave a like. It really helps the channel grow. If you're not subscribed yet, subscribe now so you don't miss the next stories. And leave me a comment below. What did you think of this ending? What would you have done in their place? I read every comment. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.